ask you, who or what scares you at the moment?
I try to allow everything to scare me. Like everything that scares me, I like to allow it to scare me. Um, just so I can like kind of like push myself towards it. Make myself go towards the fear of it. I asked my brother this question too, like, who's the bravest person you know? And he's like, yo, myself. And I'm like, why? Because it's like, yo, I like being afraid. I like pushing myself to be afraid. And he's like, well, what do you do when you are too afraid? He's like, I just do it anyway because I like the adrenaline that I feel. Um, and I think that's beautiful. Being a person that's always afraid of things that aren't certain or you don't understand or um you don't know how it works. Like you should be afraid and allow that fear to guide you to where you need to be. Too many people out here afraid of, as you said in the beginning, too afraid of trying. What's the worst that can happen when you try? Failure. And we always learn from it. Like a kid rides a bike, they don't learn how to ride the bike without the tricycles the first time. They fall and fall, bust their ass. Maybe they hit their head. But if they have good character and they push themselves and are persistent, they will always get up and ride. There's this quote that I loved, and it says, "Winners never stop failing. Winners never stop failing. Winners never stop failing."
I
Why?
love
Because
that.
they always allows themselves to be afraid. Always. So yeah, I guess that's my question to you. What makes you afraid?
That's a good question. I think what makes me afraid is not being powerless, right? Losing an ability, you know, I think being completely and utterly powerless to change my circumstances scares the shit out of me.
For her.
I can't imagine that. Feeling helpless is something that I'm definitely, afraid of. Like one of my biggest fears is, you know, becoming like a quadriplegic or something like that would just be utterly devastating to me.
Yo,
Losing,
don't even get me started with that. Yo.
losing all the strength that I've cultivated over years of being in the gym and grinding, playing football, and having someone have to take care, losing my independence. That's
Word.
fucking terrifying to me. Like falling flat on my face, public speaking, none of those things. And snakes, fuck snakes. I don't like snakes. I don't like snakes. But those are the things that they scare me, But there's that's not something that I spend a lot of time thinking about because I definitely do think that you attract
what you're afraid of.
You attract what you're afraid of, or you I don't want to have a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So it's something that I tend to just put out of my mind. I don't want to think about that. Loss of health too is terrifying. I mean, for example, I tweaked my back. I was deadlifting in college and I threw my back out somehow and had to take I took a cortisone shot and I was fucked up and I couldn't tie my shoes. And my girlfriend at the time had to tie my shoes. And I like hobbled over and I put my fist through a window. I just couldn't. I had like tears in my eyes. Dude, I was bleeding. I was so fucking devastated. And the first thing that popped into my head was, am I going to be like this forever? Like that was it. I was like, did I? And I wasn't. I was able to figure it out. And there were a lot of things, a lot of muscle imbalances in my lower back that I had to figure out, and I did. But it was a very. I'll never forget that feeling of helplessness. Like, oh, it was fucking awful, man. I never want to feel that again.
Yeah, I went through a similar I didn't get hit or break my back, but I got hit by a truck on my knee, on my left knee, and
Ooh.
for like I think it was like almost 2 months. I couldn't walk, and that's actually how I felt too. I like my girl could tell you the same thing. She was like I told her like, yo, what if I can't walk anymore? Like, what if I can't walk on my left leg anymore? So that is a big fear also of mine, of just not being able to maintain myself. Like, I'm a person that's very independent. I like taking care of myself, doing things my way.
Yeah.
So if I can't do that for myself, I don't know how I'll do.
So I got a crazy story for you. In college, I put on well, not just me, Chris Roth, Josh Roth. They put on this contest called the St. Patty's Day Strongest Laddie, and it was a strongman competition.
Oh, wow.
And I watched this guy. I should get him on the podcast. His name is he owns West Coast Strength. Alex something. Can't think of his last name. Forgive me. I watched him. I think it was like 1,000-pound tire. I watched him tear both of his biceps. Tore them both. And he had like, a few tears in his eyes. And then he's like, dude, I'm like, you all right, man? He's like, no, I'm fucking not. The dude's 6'6", maybe like it's like 6'7", 300 pounds, just fucking huge, man, dude, huge. He's like, I didn't think that my strength, something that I'd spent my life I'm a professional strongman, maybe amateur, I don't know. He's like, it's gone. Like, I can't use my arm. I gotta have surgery on them both, dude. He's since recovered, and he's a fucking monster. Honestly, I need to have him on the show too. Alex Whitaker, thank you, Alex Whitaker. Shout out to Alex Whitaker, Western Oregon alum.
Yo, shout out Alex, bro.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I've seen that happen. It can that's a crazy anything that you have. Like, I'm not 100% certain that anything in life is certain. I think it's all, even if you're a billionaire, they can take that away from you. They can life can snatch your strength. It can snatch your health. It can snatch you got to be really appreciative for what you have right now. Mm-hmm. I think about
nothing's ever promised.
Mm-hmm. It really doesn't even matter how much money you have to insulate yourself either. Like, I look at these Russian oligarchs. Granted, I get the sanctions and stuff, but if I was a fucking billionaire and all the Western governments around, let's say let's just assume that they've worked hard to get where they are. Right. All of a sudden, all of your assets and shit are being froze by multiple governments. Like, is really anything for certain? Like, sometimes I think, nothing isn't certain. I don't even know if we're even all free. I feel like you find I'm on a tangent right now. I'm going to keep going though. I feel like
go.
I feel like you find out how little freedom you have until a large group of people disagree with you. And now I'm not saying, I'm not, what Russia's doing is terrible, but I'm just saying, if I was a billionaire from that country, I didn't choose to be born Russian. I didn't choose, I didn't choose any of that shit. But I'm a billionaire somehow. I own Chelsea, and I got to sell the team now that I bought, and they're taking my shit. Maybe now you have only a few $1 million left, or like 100,000, because you can't have access to your funds. I just don't know how much of it's even certain, man. I really don't. I really